Take it away, Dennis.
All right, cool. Yeah, and this is going to be pretty elementary. And certainly what I would recommend is just go to YouTube and watch part 1 for sure of Adam's introduction to the spectral photographic color calibration. And then part 2, he goes behind the curtain and really looks in the details of how it's taking the spectral data from Gaia and doing the calibration. Now he claims that SPCC has revolutionized color calibration, and that everything that he claims he's done before this needs to be redone. And so he is such an advocate for this new calibration technique. But there are some pieces and parts, and I'm just going to just walk you through it very quickly. There's not a lot to it. The first thing you want to do is kind of make sure you've got the right version of PixInsight. I thought I was up to date until I hit because I was running 1.8.9 and I thought I was running -1, and I never really paid much attention to the build number. But when I went to implement this new color calibration, I didn't have it as a process, nor did I have the Gaia process to input the Gaia database. And so I went up to resources, and sure enough, clicked on check for updates, and of course I just did this a couple days ago, so there are no new updates. But I was surprised that on top of this latest release of 1.8.9, there was an update that I didn't get notified for. Maybe it was just too new, but this update brings in the new spectral photographic color calibration. Okay, so that's step number 1 is make sure so that when you go to process and all process, you see a Gaia icon here, process, and then you also see the spectral photometric color calibration. I initially did not have these two, and then I did that upgrade and they just appeared. Okay, so check that out. And then once you see these two processes, then you can go ahead and I was running the Gaia 2 database for all of my plate solves and image solves. And so I guess the Gaia 3 database is now phenomenal. Millions upon millions of stars are in the database. So all you have to do is go to the PixInsight. Let me just get rid of that. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Go to the PixInsight software distribution system. So with your license, you can log into the distribution interface. And now listed in the interface is not only the latest versions that you can download for PixInsight, but they also have the Gaia 3 database. And the thing that's important that you need for this new spectral calibration is not only did Gaia take positional information for all these stars, but they have done millions of spectral data on these stars. And so now there's a complete database for not only positional information, but also the spectral information. And so what you do is it's by magnitude range. I didn't download the entire database, which is huge. Each block is about 3 gigabytes. And so I went all the way to about 20 magnitude, and I'm going, I'm not gonna work with anything, you know, at 19 to 20, I'm good. So I downloaded about half of this database, and have been working with that half. Now, unfortunately, to get the spectral data to that level of magnitude, you do need to go to the complete set, which has 20 downloads, again, all about 3+ gigabytes each. There again, I downloaded, boy, I just kind of ran out of gas, and it seems to plateau here at around the 17 magnitude. So I stopped for the spectral information at about file 14. So this is as far as I have. So what you want to do is you click on each of these, you save it in a known folder. I just have a folder that was called Gaia 3. And I put all these files, both the positional and the spectral, and you can see the spectral files have a little SP after the GRD3. And I just put all of those files in one folder because you're going to need to install the database into PixInsight. Feel free to ask questions as I'm going along here. And so pretty much this is just mechanical stuff. So you're going to download the database for both the positional and the spectral information, and then you have to install it into PixInsight, and so there's a simple process for that. So you go to All Process, and you click on this Gaia process, and literally you can input the Gaia 3, which has already been put in because I put it in. But if you just hit this little tool, and you can see here are all the files. So all you have to do is hit. Now, when you first use this will be blank, and so you hit select, and then just navigate to that folder where you have the positional files. I'm not going to input anything, and then you just say OK, and it'll install all of the positional data. And then what you're going to do is you're then going to select the spectral information. So here's the 14 components that I have for spectrum, and you do exactly the same thing. You just hit select, go to that same database, select all the SP files, and then just say open, and they'll appear in this list, and you say OK, and it'll install that, and that's all there is to it. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and so this is just a little utility to get the Gaia data imported into, so that PixInsight can use the spectral information for the color calibration, and use the positional information for the image solve. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point? This is pretty just mechanical. All right. So once I have this installed, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you this image solver, which is just plate solving the image and putting in the right coordinates that this new spectral photometric process needs to use. So this SPCC won't work unless you go through and do an image solve on your image, and I'll demonstrate that here. And then I'll just run SPCC, which is pretty easy to run. All right, so let me minimize that. And so this is just one of my recent images. This is raw image. The only thing that's been done on this image is it's been dynamically cropped and I've done a dynamic background extraction. That's in my workflow, those are my first two steps. After I create an RGB, the raw RGB, I crop it to get rid of any overlap errors. And then I do a dynamic background extraction, okay? And then at this point, I consider this my input to all of my post-processing steps, okay? And so if I just open up, let's just take a quick look at the FITS header here. You can see all of the coordinates and all of the standard stuff that's in this raw file. But these coordinates aren't compatible with the information that the calibration program needs. So make a mental image of what's in here, but we're going to add a whole bunch of other stuff. So let me close this for now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the raw process so that you know how to add the Gaia database to it. But that's under scripts and image analysis and image solver. And so here's the image solver. And one of the things you want to do now is select the Gaia 3 database. I was running this Gaia 2, but so I've already pre-selected that in there, and I've also I made a processing icon. These are my processing icons. So that's really the only step that you have to do here is to and also you need to put in what your focal distance is and your pixel size. And then I'm gonna just cancel out of that. I'm not gonna do that because I've set this all up already for one of my process icons here. So before I do, so I've had 3 ways of doing color calibration now. The old color calibration where you just define a preset window in some empty space here, and then go to the regular color calibration. I stopped using that pretty much a long time ago. So I have been using PCC, but now I've replaced that with this SPCC. And so what you have to do is, and it's pretty simple. Once you've set up the image solver, so I just open that up. Hello. Where is it? Did it come up on the other screen here? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Came up on my second monitor. Okay. And I don't know, Gabe, are you still here?
Yep.
Yeah. One of the things that once I set this up, when I open up, I don't get the dialog box anymore. I get the script, all the script parameters. What happened to the dialog box? Why does the script come up instead of the dialog box?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why the script is coming up.
So Chris,
click on the box.
I'm sorry, Dennis.
Yeah.
I was fighting that on the WBPP, and it said that you had to right click and open it as a global instance, and it would actually open up the dialog process. So
right click on the process icon.
Yeah, close the script, right click on image solver.
Okay.
Execute in the global context. Third line. And I think then the script actually comes up.
Interesting. Okay.
Don't know why, but that's what they said.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, it didn't make any difference to me, but I just wanted to make sure that it was looking at the set for the active window and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's good to know. And so all I have to do is I say okay to that. And it's going to do a plate solve now using the Gaia 3 new database. It doesn't take very long, and pretty much done. So now if we look at the FITS header, and you can see, oh my gosh, remember the last one left off at this 302. And all of this new data has been added to the FITS header. And the color calibration needs all of this data in order to run. So very important step to make sure you run this image solver before you run the calibration. All right, so this image has been solved. All the new parameters have been added. So now I just open up. So why is everything opening up on my wrong monitor here? Okay. All right, so pretty easy setup. I use as my white as a white reference. Our good old sun, G2 star. I've set up all of my, of course, I've saved all of this. I've set this all up for narrow band. These are the bandwidths for the filters that I'm using. So I'm using it in the narrow band mode. I want to generate some graphs, which really are kind of cool. I don't know what they mean yet. But most importantly, it is that the catalog is now set for the Gaia 3 spectral database. And boy, and that's about it. There's nothing really else to say. I've left all of the everything, all the other default settings, which aren't very many. And so I'm going to apply this. Now I've reanalyzed this image, and I tell you, the star colors are gorgeous. I mean, it just once you use this, you'll not want to use any other kind of color calibration. Now I'm sounding like Adam Block. All right, so let me get rid of this, and so I'm going to take that away. Now, when you use the screen transfer function, in the past you've been taught to unlink the channels, but in this particular case, you want the channels to be linked. And then when I apply that, I'm getting a whole different. Now, obviously, this still is at the front end of all of my post processing, but after this, I will do the the histogram. I will actually apply and I use the SCNR, but I don't want to get into my post processing here, but I tell you, from this point on, the quality of the color and the stars have just been amazing. So I think it's worth switching over. It's a hell of a lot easier to use than the PCC, and I actually get a lot of failures with the PCC. And one of the things, and again, I don't know why it's all coming up, but you get this really nice curve. All right, so how do I, oh, I close this. Oh, come on. Yeah, here we go. Now, Adam does a really nice job of explaining what all this data means, and it's in the thing that you want to see, that you've got this even distribution around these projected lines. I really have to dig into this and watch for a second time his part 2, but apparently this is good. When you've got symmetry around all of the data around these lines. So that's about it. And so,
hey Dennis,
yeah.
can you say again what your starting point was? How much processing did you do on the image before you ran this?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So my starting point is once I create the raw RGB, so I can actually back up here a little bit.
This is still a linear or non-linear?
It's all linear. It's all linear. Yeah. So this is all pre-stretched.
Okay.
And so the only processing that I have done on this, something is out of whack here with respect to, oh, I see what I got to do here. So this raw image, yeah, this is where I started. Basically, I did after I did the RGB combine, I did a dynamic crop, to get rid of, the registration issues.
Yeah.
And then I did a dynamic background extraction.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And you do have to stay in the linear world when you do this color calibration. And then the color calibration also does background neutralization. So you don't need to do the background neutralization. And I stopped using the linear fit, and I mean, I just skipped over a lot of my steps to get to this point. And then I do a stretch. I do the Hubble pellet thing. I do a denoise. I mask and then sharpen the image, and color saturation, and then curves. So I'm, pretty methodical about following, the same steps each and every time, with obviously variations within the steps. But I pretty much have a workflow. All right. Well, that was more than 10 minutes. Sorry. Any questions? Anybody else have used this yet? Gabe, have you used it?
No, I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, boy, I think once you try it, you're gonna, and
Is this a replacement for shooting RGB stars and swapping them out?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I like about it. Because I never was keen about all of that processing stars separately stuff.
I wasn't either, Dennis, but once I started doing it,
Yeah,
it was it's probably the one thing that's made a huge difference.
yeah.
Yeah, same here.
I'm skeptical that it's a direct replacement.
Yeah.
Well, now, okay, so maybe my threshold is lower in what I consider acceptable. I see a lot of good variation, and I see all the right kind of color stars. And so makes me happy and saves me a lot of steps.
Yeah.
Now the first, you gotta be prepared when you watch Adam Block's video. He just raves for the first 5 minutes of the video about how revolutionary this program is, and that how it has changed the world of astrophotography. So be prepared. He's in love with this program.
With Fluor Terminator too.
Oh, did he do the same thing with Terminator?
The blur exterminator, the new one.
I haven't played with that yet.
He just put a video out today.
Oh, today? Okay. So he's got a new lover now?
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
trying it earlier and it's very impressive.
And what is it? It's a deconvolution?
Yeah.
It'll
And
save
so-
you hours of time.
Yeah, and what is it? What does it replace?
Deconvolution itself, but it makes the stars smaller. It does a PSF across the entire image and does
Oh,
it
wow.
separately for different spots instead of
Does it create,
one PSF for the whole thing.
create the masks too for it?
It uses AI, so I don't know if it does masking or not,
Okay.
but it costs $100.
Ooh,
So he's got a 30-day trial though.
yeah. I'm glad my standards are a lot lower.
Isn't that by the same guy that did Star Exterminator and all that?
Yeah. Yeah, I just loaded it up today. I'm taking some of my old, really crappy DSLR images, and it seems to work. So I'm going to go back and use it on some of my old data that is really bad and just see
Yeah.
if it's worth it.
Yeah.
If you have his other programs, he knocks $10 off. So there's your Christmas present.
Well, I saved money by getting Voyager.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, I do like the Star Exterminator. Boy, that works well. And it's amazing. I used that in my class at the end of the semester. I took and just like Gabe did, I took a deep sky Hubble image or a web image and applied that exterminator, and it got rid of all of the diffraction spikes and all of the star artifacts within the deep sky, and we were just left with galaxies to look at. It was the students really loved it.
Yeah, that's one thing with the blur exterminator that I want to take a look at closer, because when I start looking at really small little galaxies, they could be like a deformed star, and it might try to make those round and deform those. So it could make other artifacts that I don't like.
Well, this spectral, photometric color thing is free, so it's just, but it does only work with the Gaia spectral database. So, but that's free too, so it's not a big deal.
Free is it?
What's that?
The free is good.
Free is good. Free is good. And
So is the guy does the Gaia database? Is he retired and it's a hobby for him or what? I mean, how do those guys do that? I mean, that amount of analysis and stuff, there's some money behind that, or is that coming out of NASA, or how does that get?
No. Gaia is a survey spacecraft
Okay.
that's mapping the Milky Way right now.
Okay. So it's something NASA, ultimately NASA.
Yep. Yeah, it is creating a hole in some of the earlier images and modeling of the structure of the Milky Way. And so it's measuring not only positional data, but it's doing proper motion and spectral information.
Okay.
And so it is just
and distance. It's going
and distances. Yeah.
to very important for like exoplanet research too.
Yeah.
We don't know, all our distances to these things is just estimates. This is going to help give us very precise information.
But at the end of the day, right? It's NASA funded or something similar, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Because I what I didn't know. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the database comes from NASA, but then the program is written by people that are part of the PixInsight.
Right. Yeah. They're saying the data is here, and they came up with this and they added it part of their tool.
Yep.
Yeah, that part I figured out, but I was curious on the database.
Mm. Mm.